Hello, everyone, and welcome to yet another episode of Tech Beans by Clover Infotech. Our topic for today is very interesting, that is cybersecurity. And some of you may ask that why are we talking about cybersecurity? So just to set the context for the video, so everybody nowadays is talking about digital. So there are buzzwords that are being used such as cloud, digital transformation. And while there are many benefits of cloud and digital transformation, there are also some risks that are associated with it. And that is simply because as you go digital, it opens up or maybe exposes the security gaps for exploitation by the cyber threat actors. So cybersecurity plays an important role over here today. And to discuss this, we have with us Mr. Dipanshu Jain, who is an information security consultant at Clover Infotech. He has worked with reputed organizations like Paytm Payments Bank and Delivery, and he comes with a rich experience of 10 plus years in the cybersecurity space, including threat hunting, data loss prevention, data center operations, and more. So welcome to TechBeans, Dipanshu. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you.
Okay. So just before we start the discussion, Dipanshu, what I would like to do is maybe we can just set the context again in terms of some of the stats. So why? So although we are doing this video, okay, maybe it is important for our audience also to know that why it is important in today's world. So I have some of the stats with me. So according to Statista, okay, more than 1.1 million cyber attacks were reported across India in 2020. Then again, one of the stats says that Indian Computer Emergency Response Team, that the CERT-IN, has observed over 6.07 lakh cybersecurity incidents in the first 6 months of 2021, out of which about 12,000 incidents were related to government organizations. Now that's really a concerning number. According to yet another study, so cost of recovering from the impact of ransomware attack in India, it has tripled over the last year. So it has gone up from $1.1 million in 2020 to $3.38 million in 2021. So these numbers are really scary, and that is expected. So like everything has its pros and cons. So maybe this cyber threat or cyber attacks is one of the challenges or the cons or the negative side, so to say, of digitization, which the organizations have to deal with. Okay, so Dipanshu, now with these numbers and this context in mind, now can you throw some light on what are the key areas of concern for the organizations today? Because you have been working with a lot of clients closely, so you must be aware about the challenges that they are facing, especially after this pandemic. So if we can throw some light on that, maybe that will be a good beginning for this discussion.
So currently, like in the pandemic, remote and hybrid working followed by lots of companies, like 90% of the companies following the remote and hybrid working. So this is the main concern because on the premises working and the home working is a different scenario.
Right.
Okay, where like when the user sitting in the office, we can push lots of compliances, lots of restrictions there. But when the system residing in the remote location or over the VPN, then we need to procure some tools or we need to follow some best practice where we can harden the things, harden the environment over the VPN. Okay. Second is data security. Like it is something like in finance team, person is sitting in the office and the finance person sitting in the home. So the finance person have the most of the data which is more confidential for the company. Okay.
Right.
So in some companies there is some policies like the finance person cannot carry his smartphone with him. He can click the photos and all. So some companies tape up the cameras. Okay. Some companies have separate rooms for the finance peoples, separate laptops or isolate network for the finance people. So this type of isolation should be there.
Right. So data security, you're saying, is one of the big concerns because
one
now,
of the big
so
concern. Yes. It is
right. So
not
we
for
also
the
read a lot.
Yeah, it is not for the finance people, it is for the IT people, whatever. Matlab, there it may be the legal team, it may like every data which can impact the company budget, or which can impact the company, which is important.
Right. I think that is one of the, I mean, key challenges of going digital, right? With digital, you have access, or organization has access to a lot of data, which is an advantage also. And but it can also work the other way around, that because so much of data is available, now that data, if it is misused by someone, that becomes a point of concern for the organization. I think that is one of the flip sides of going digital.
The third point is insider threat. So when we say the insider threat, it is something like a simple botnet or simple malware inserted in your environment. Like one of the system is impacted, and it is spreading the botnets, or spreading the viruses, or the spywares to the different systems. So this is also a very important, topic, or like our fourth point, which we cover, like the cyber attacks and the phishing. So the cyber attacks, phishing, malware, ransomware, botnet, or the cryptography, these all are the same things. Like
Okay.
in the modern time, like in these days, the attackers or the hackers using these type of technologies. It may be phishing, it may be the cyber attacks, like they point out your weakness. It may be any type of your web server, or it may be any type of your any public facing application, or if they see any type of gap or any type of glitch, they can use it.
Okay. And so you spoke about insider threat, right? So now insider threat need not necessarily be someone purposely leaking out the information, right? So insider threat can be an unknown thing that is being done, or unknown, or maybe a wrong practice that is being followed by an individual or an employee, which can turn into something which is referred to as an insider threat, right? So I mean, is that the case with the organizations that you're working?
So the simple example is like a phishing email came to your mailbox, and you click that phishing email, and there is one link. Okay. So when you click the link, nothing happened. You say, okay, this is, I don't know, but this is okay. But when you click that particular link, a spyware installed in your system, or spyware placed in your system, and spyware catching information which is running in your mailbox, email IDs, the client email IDs, the data which you are sending, or the mails you are exchanging with clients and all. So each and every detail, the spyware forwarding to his the different the hacker, or it may be any type of website source. Okay. So to prevent this, first is like employee awareness is very much required there. Second is we should have content filtering tool. We should have the SIM tools who can make alert. Something like it is like, for example, like I have a spyware in my system. Okay, suddenly mistakenly spyware installed in my system, and spyware connecting one of the website. Okay, and forwarding data to that particular website. So if we have, how we will know, like the Pancho system forwarding the data or forwarding some traffic to that particular URL? Either SIM tool can provide us, or the proxy tool can provide us. So these type of tools should there.
Okay, so I think you have briefly covered the key areas of concern. Okay, and like you have mentioned, you're talking about some of the tools, and which was in fact our next question, that we now know that okay, remote hybrid working is one of the challenges. Data security is another challenge. Insider threat and phishing attacks, or malware or ransomware attacks, these are the challenges that today's organizations face. Now, keeping these threats in mind, now what are the options, or what are the tools that are available for the organizations So if you can tell us about some of those key tools that you are already using, maybe that will benefit the audience, like what needs to be done in order to combat these threats.
So, so in the market, there are different tools to prevent the security in these days. But some basic tools are there which should have, which company should procure to protect his environment. So like IAM, Identity Access Management. So identity access management says like we have different servers, we have different applications, we have different tools in the organization. So identity access management says like the person should have those access which is required. Like for example, if we have some Windows application or the Windows servers, the only Windows team can have right on that particular servers or the particular applications. The Linux team have the Linux right, and the application team have the application rights, so that we can trace out like who is working. We can segregate the environment, we can segregate the access as well. So in the continuation, like the IAM says, like the PIM, the password integrity management. So the same role of the password integrity management as well. Like we can segregate the access, the role-based access, the time-based access. The L1 have the L1 role of that particular server or the particular application. The L2 have the L2 role, the L3 have the L3 role. Okay. The same and the same thing is like in the IAM, there are the authentication is also required. So username and password, we can like in today's scenario, anyone hacker, a small hacker can retrieve your username and password. So you can see many websites, it may be the Facebook, it may be the Gmail, it may be the Yahoo, they all are using the multi-factor authentication. So the multi-factor authentication done by 3 or 5 methods. It may be the security certificates, it may be the tokens, the physical tokens, it may be the software tokens. Okay. Sorry. It may be any type of other mechanism. So like when we say the tokens, so when the putting username and passwords, we got the email token. Like when we will got our email, like this is your 6-digit code. When we put the 6-digit code, our email will open, our tool will open. Okay. Or like some softwares installed in our mobiles, it may be the Microsoft Authenticator, or it may be the Google Authenticator. Okay. So after putting the username and password, we can put the 6-digit code. After 6-digit code, we can able to access the things. So this type of authentication comes into the IAM. Second is SIM. So when we say the SIM is a tool who can gather all the security incidents of the environment and aggregate it, correlate it, and provide an incident to the engineers. It is something like we have a firewall. Okay. And anyone from the Netherlands or anyone from the London trying to enter in our space. So the firewall will help to abort this access. So when the firewall close this connection, the firewall raise an incident, and the same firewall raise the incident, firewall raise the log. Like this IP from this geolocation hitting that particular IP or that particular URL. Okay. So the SIM team, so the SIM tool gather that particular log and generate an incident. Okay, network team, please check if you got this type of alert. If this is right, block this geolocation or block this IP. The same thing is.
So does this happen in real time? So engineers will get an alert in real time, and then they can take an action.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. And let's say, for example, maybe it also depends on the availability of the engineer at that point in time. If let's say the engineer, if the trigger is sent out, but the action is not taken by any of the engineers, okay, or the person who is receiving the alert, okay, till that time, will the SIM tool block the access, or will it
No. SIM is a tool who can identify the alert, who can
Okay.
provide, who can share you the incident. But the automatic blockage or automatic allow is not available with the SIM, because
Okay.
this is a manual process actually. And the same thing, like when if you are saying like automatically it can be blocked, so in the firewall many of the things are blocked.
Okay.
Only authenticated traffic is passed through the firewall, otherwise it is blocked. So this I am saying about the best practice.
Okay.
It will totally depend on company to company, like what they have opened in the firewall, what type of ports they have opened in the firewall, what is incoming ports and outgoing ports. Have they published the firewall in the outer space? Like in some companies, they publish this firewall on the public IP so that they can log in through the public IP. But this is not the best practice.
Okay. So
Like firewall.
basically, in a nutshell, you're saying that the same tool, what it will do is it will maintain a log of activities that are happening, and it will also generate triggers to the
Yeah.
relevant people if there is any discrepancy that is found, right? That is what the same tool will do.
Yes. So, yeah. And the third point is the endpoint security. So, like in the pandemic, all the endpoints placed in the off the premises. So
Right.
the AV should be there, the content filtering should be there, the DLP should be there, endpoint encryption should be there, because sometimes user travel to the one location to other location. In case of laptop theft, so no one can retrieve the data from that particular drive.
Okay.
So endpoint encryption also is a key tool in these time. Now the
Because the data is being accessed remotely,
yeah. Hmm.
so all those
No, not
devices need to
remotely,
be.
not remotely. Like the simple example is if my laptop if someone laptop theft by the thief, and thief retrieve the hard disk and connect with the other laptop, so he can access the data. When in the endpoint encryption case, he cannot see the data, even he cannot access the drive actually.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
so this is the main use of that particular endpoint encryption.
Okay. So basically, the data cannot be easily copied. So even if someone tries to insert a flash drive onto a laptop which contains sensitive data, so endpoint security will come into picture because the data cannot be easily transferred. Right?
Yes.
Does that what the tool does?
Yes. The same thing with the fourth point is the DLP. The fourth tool is, so DLP is also a very basic tool for the organization, because whether in the BFSI sector, in the insurance sector, or in any hedge fund industry which fall in the SAS 70 compliance, the DLP is in demand because there are lots of data. It may be the PI data, it may be any financial data, or it may be any type of data which can impact the business of that particular company. So the compliance authorities and the best practices says, like, we should have the DLP in our organization to control the data leakage. So when we say the data leakage, we have a classification of the documents, like it is confidential, it is private, it is public, it is bank statement, it is PI data, it is Aadhaar, it is PAN, it is credit card details, it is debit card detail. So these are some keywords. Okay, so these keywords. So if document contain in these type of document or these type of entries, this comes in the incidents. Like DLP raised the incident.
Okay.
Like A person sending data to the B person, and the document have the PI data like Aadhaar card numbers. So we can probe to the A person, like, why you are sending these information to the B person? Is it a business use or not? So we
Okay.
can, so here we can retrieve, or we can block it as well. Like we can block that type of transaction. Okay, so if someone may send mail to like A person send mail to B person with these details, we can block it immediately. Okay, or we can make it in the audit only mode, or like if the B person will get the data, okay, but the incident will raise.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So basically what DLP will do, so it's data loss prevention or data leakage prevention, whatever you may term it as. So whatever that personal identification information which is there, that information cannot be easily passed on to some other person, or even if it is passed on, maybe a trigger is generated that so and so information was passed on by so and so person to a third party, right? Is that what
It
DLP
may be
does?
the PI data, it may be the financial statement, it may be any type of bank slips, bank statements, whatever it is. See, it is totally depend on the business use, like what business is running in the organization. Something like I'm in the insurance sector, so insurance policy is also a PI data.
Right.
Bank statement is also a PI data.
Okay.
Aadhaar card, PAN card is also a PI data.
Right. So I think this is one of the important tools for, especially for banks or insurance companies, right? Because they have a lot of data of customers, which is, I mean, very sensitive. So I think DLP tool is very useful for such organizations, right?
Yes. And the fifth tool is like anti-malware or anti-phishing. So when we say the anti-malware or the anti-phishing, you heard about like you are getting the spam mails in your mailbox.
A lot of them nowadays.
So the marketing mails or the promotional mails. So before the exchange, we can implement the anti-spam or anti-phishing tool. It may be the Cisco Iron Port, it may be the Barracuda, it may be the FireEye, whatever it is. There are lots of vendors in the market. So first the email landed at the FireEye. FireEye first check the SPF record, the domain and all. What policy you have configured for that particular mailbox, the FireEye will send the email to the exchange, or firewall will hold the email and quarantine it. Okay, so suppose like you integrated your email with the facebook.com. Okay, and you are getting lots of emails from the facebook.com, like one is commented or one send you the message and all. So to stop these emails, if you put the anti-spam before exchange, so the and you have configured the policy, like if we got email from the @facebook.com or @gmail.com, the mail will quarantine, and after quarantine you will get a message, you will get a mail from the FireEye or from the Cisco, okay, like you got the 20 emails from this domain. Is these genuine? If genuine, make it release, otherwise block.
Okay.
So you can do it through the anti-spam tool. The same thing with the anti-phishing tool. The anti-phishing tool will work with the same technology. Like in the phishing, like suppose the facebook.com. So in the phishing emails, the Facebook, the domain will be the facebook.com. One O will be removed in that particular email. And you will see like, okay, it is come from the facebook.com. Like आप कभी देखोगे ही नहीं उसको कि इसमें डबल ओ है कि सिंगल ओ है. And if mail contains some link and where you can put your PI information, email ID, mobile number and all, so you can easily put these information and submit it. So literally, you know, like, okay, ये तो fake URL था, but your information is passed. So anti-phishing tool check these type of emails, check the domain, check the SPF records and all, and hold these emails. So this is the main use of the anti-phishing tool.
So most of the जो emails है वो इस anti-phishing tool से block हो जाएंगे at an initial level only, and then yes, obviously it is, let's say if some of those emails still get passed through, then it is up to the individual that how, I mean, if they should also take some care in order to avoid such phishing attacks, right? I mean, keeping that in mind, now the next question is around. So there are two questions basically. Okay, now we know what are the concerns, what are the challenges that the organizations are facing. We know that okay, there are some tools that are available, which to an extent or maybe to a great extent can prevent such attacks. Like you explained just now that anti-phishing tools are there which can block your emails if there is something fishy. Okay, having said so, let's say organization takes all the care, they have the right tools in place, but still over and above that, there are some things that organization should do at a broad level, right? So can you tell us some of those practices that, I mean, in addition to integrating such tools or solutions, what are the other practices that the organization should follow in order to combat these cyber threats?
So when we say the practices or when we say the generic precaution to to protect our environment, there are some basic policies like zero trust security policy. So zero trust is nothing, it's a framework for securing the infrastructure in today model digital transformation. So it uniquely addressed the modern challenges of today business, like securing the remote workers, securing the hybrid clouds, okay, securing the remote, the ransomware threats. So these are the main policy. These are the main key area of the zero trust. Like in simple language, zero trust assumes that there is no any traditional network edge. Network can be local or network can be cloud.
Okay, so basically trust no one, validate everything. That is what. So it's a framework.
It's a framework like NIST, like COBIT. So these are the frameworks, yes.
Okay, and what are the other things that you have like zero security?
So like after the zero security, like the security audits, the periodically. So like security audit says, so in the GRC part, when we say the GRC, the government's risk and compliance, so there is an audit team. It may be the internal audit team or it may be the external audit teams, which is in the company. So the periodically audit should be there because there are lots of tools are running in the organization. People's leaving the company, people join the company. So it's a simple, it's a very simple example. Like I am the administrator. I am administrating the tool, which is very effectively. Suppose I'm using the firewall. I'm managing the firewall. And my last day will be the 12th of November. So when I put the resign, the company should restrict my access. So when we say the restrict my access, it is something like, okay, the HR team or the technical team should restrict the access, and the audit team can audit like how many people put the resign and have you restrict the access. Right. If you not, then there is an amber. Why you have not restrict the access? The same thing like person left the company. So in case if the person exit the company, the ID should block. If ID should not block, then this is the amber.
Okay.
So right. These are the basic things: the logical access review, the antivirus access review. The antivirus access review says like any type of exception which we have provided is approved or not. Why the users have exception? Why the user have the USB access? Why the like audit also says like if we have the 200 systems in the environment, so 200 systems have the antivirus. If 10 systems not have antivirus, then this is the amber for us. This is the threat for us.
Right. So there should be such audits in place to identify that what are those red or amber areas. Okay, so that it doesn't, there is no repeat occurrence of the same. Right?
The same is the employee awareness. which I have already discussed, like employee should know what do's and what don'ts. Like any type of random email came and they click on that particular email and put the data, upload the data, which is not right. So internet uses also not open any type of websites, not like HTTP websites or any type of websites which is not relevant to him. As simple as like some websites are newly registered. They have not and they have no any background. In any phishing email or any type of Googling, on the time of Googling, if we encountered like, okay, so if you know like this is authenticate for me or this is usable for me, then you can open. Otherwise, not. The ISMS always ask like, do not open any website which is not relevant to you.
Okay. Fine. So these are basically the things that at an org level should be implemented, right? And so lastly, now, so we have talked about the threats, we have talked about the tools, we have talked about what are the things that can be done at an org level, okay? But like they say that cybersecurity is not one team's job, right? So, I mean, only the cybersecurity team or the IT team is not responsible for that security. It is everyone's responsibility. So can you give some tips as to at an individual level or at an employee level, what are some of the good practices that one can follow so to ensure cybersecurity or maybe to reduce the impact or of an cyber attack? What are those tips? If you can give us some of those tips,
So
I think it will be useful for the audience.
So like in the current scenario, like we are using different technology, different tools. So if we're talking about the Microsoft, so Microsoft releasing patches. So we should patch our all the desktops or all the servers on the timely basis. It may be the secure patch or it may be the critical patch. The same thing with the firewalls, like the firewalls versions release in every 6 months or in every year or in every quarter. So in the N-1 scenario, we can upgrade our devices. So these are the security patches which came and which we need to deploy, because on the daily basis, many type of viruses, many type of malwares, many type of hashes is generating. So to encounter these type of threats, the OEMs upgrading the versions according to the threats. So we should upgrade our devices accordingly. The second is, don't fall for the urgency emails. Like if you get any email, first you read it, check the domain and all, then click it. Because this is not a mandatory, like you open them, you get the email and you click okay, okay, complete it. So this is not the case actually.
Right. So there are many, I mean, I think that's the modus operandi of these attackers, that they send emails which have some urgent message and they force or entice the user to click onto it, and once they click, they fall prey to a cyber attack, right? So that, I think that is what you are referring to, that one should think before clicking an email, especially if it is from an unknown entity.
Yes. Like if you are using laptop, it may be the organization laptop, or it may be your home laptop. You should update it. You should install the critical or the security patches so that your system can harden. Like if you are plugging your USB, you should scan it before use. So these are the basic thing. Don't share the sensitive information. So the banking sector, they always say we are not asking for the CVV, we are not asking for the OTP. The same thing is you should not share your important information or the sensitive information. It may be the credit card details, it may be the debit card details, the banking details and all, the password also, the username password also for that particular bank or the particular websites. Manage password and the password hygienes also, like ABC at 123 or 1234 or 12345 at the rate. So these are the basic password. Who can crack it immediately?
Right. So password is basically that first line of defense. So
हाँ,
if we maintain a proper password hygiene and follow those good practices, I think a lot of attack can be prevented at that level itself, right?
yes, yes.
Great. Okay, so Dipanshu, thanks a lot for all these tips. Just to summarize for our audience, okay, so we have talked about that what is the importance of cybersecurity in today's digital world, how the number of cyber attacks are on the rise. Dipanshu has shared some key insights on what are the options available for the organization to combat these threats. He also mentioned about some of the key services like endpoint security, identity and access management, DLP. So these are some of the services or tools that are available for the organization. Okay, which if integrated can reduce the impact or the level of this cyber attacks to a great extent. Dipanshu also shared some tips that one can practice at an org level, also at an individual level. So like we spoke that cybersecurity is not a responsibility of only one team. I mean, if everybody follows those small steps or small tips, I think that can also provide a great defense. So thank you once again, Dipanshu, for your time. I think whatever information and tips that you have shared will be useful for our audience. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I hope that everybody has enjoyed watching this video. Do share your feedback in the comments below. And most importantly, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Thank you.